Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm T,
And I'm Nessa.
and together we are the Casual Fangirls. Today we are talking about What If's latest episode, What If Killmonger Rescued Tony Stark. It is the sixth episode in the current season of What If. I don't know if they've been renewed for another one, but let's just talk as if they are going to because it's been really good so far. Before we jump into the episode and do a recap and then talk about what we liked, what we maybe didn't like, and what maybe some MCU implications are of this episode, we are going to give you a very quick spoiler warning that you shouldn't need, but we're going to give it to you anyway.
All right, everybody. So this is our blanket spoiler alert. If you did not see any of the movies of the MCU, that is not our fault. If you did not see Iron Man, which came out in 2008, that is not our fault. If you did not see Black Panther, which came out in 2016, that is not our fault. So everything is fair game, okay, in the MCU. So let's get started with our recap.
Was it 2016 or 2018? 2016 feels right, but 2018 also feels right. I don't know. Like last year to me is 2019, so I don't know. Whatever. Well, let's keep it moving.
We skipped a whole year, yeah.
Yeah.
It was 2018. I
2018.
apologize.
That's okay. Okay.
But that's still like a whole ass
3 years ago. Yes. I was like, I remember what I was doing in 2018. Okay, cool. Yes, y'all had time, so don't even try it. Buckle up because it's a long recap. It's a lot happening in this episode. So let's get started. So the episode starts just as Iron Man 1 starts with Tony in the Humvee after his weapons demonstration over in Afghanistan. After his vehicle is attacked, instead of the Stark rocket exploding, someone picks it up and throws it away from him. It's Killmonger. Killmonger saves Tony's life, and because of that, he never went through the traumatic experience of being kidnapped by the Ten Rings, who we actually have met now, which is great. In this universe, he never becomes Iron Man. When Tony returns to the US, he appoints Killmonger chief security officer of Stark Industries. Killmonger tells the crowd he is able to save Tony because while he was deep undercover in the Ten Rings, he learned of the plan to attack Tony and shares Obadiah Stane orchestrated the attempt on Tony's life. And of course, you know, Killmonger had receipts. Happy Hogan takes Obadiah down. So that's the end of Obadiah. As they celebrate, Tony gives Killmonger Obadiah's job, much to Pepper's chagrin. She asks Rhodes to do a background check on Killmonger to see what his angle may be as to why he's getting chummy with Tony. He doesn't appear to have a motive, and that's a problem for Pepper because everyone always has a motive when they're trying to get close to Tony, right? Tony and Killmonger bond over their shared paternal relationships, and Tony agrees to help Killmonger build combat drones, which was Killmonger's doctoral thesis, as a thank you for saving his life. They start building but fall short without a proper energy source. Killmonger suggests vibranium and offers where they can get it. Welcome back to the story, Claw. Pepper warns against fraternizing with black market dealers, so Tony sends Rhodes. As Rhodes is meeting with Claw, Black Panther shows up to stop the transaction. Claw disappears as Killmonger shows up to kill both Rhodes and T'Challa. He frames Rhodes for T'Challa's death, successfully starting a war between the US and Wakanda. This episode is wild. Little did Killmonger know, Jarvis was watching it all go down. Tony confronts Killmonger about killing both and then is killed himself by Killmonger, who makes the murder look like a Wakandan assassination. General Ross, who's like my least favorite person in the MCU, seizes control of Stark assets and mass produces Killmonger's drone. Killmonger leads the drones to Wakanda with Claw's help. Killmonger kills Claw and makes his way into Wakanda with Claw's body as an offering. Killmonger then offers to help King T'Chaka fight off the drone army as a son of Wakanda. Both the Queen and Shuri don't trust him. Because, you know, math don't be mathing and women be picking that up, like for real. King T'Chaka does, and Killmonger convinces them to let the drones into the dome as a way to destroy them. The Wakandan warriors, with the Queen at the lead, successfully beat the drones. The Queen comes around to Killmonger after seeing him move on the battlefield. Killmonger is named the next Black Panther, and when he drinks the herb, instead of meeting his father, he meets T'Challa in the ancestral plane. T'Challa warns he'll get his just due at some point for all the wrong he's done. The last scene shows Pepper walking into her office to find Shuri waiting to share evidence that Killmonger is straight trash. They plan to take him down. What an episode.
Woo! That was a lot. That was a lot going
It's
on.
a lot happening, a lot of plot points, a lot of moving back and forth. It's very intricate the way it all played out. Nessa, did you like the episode?
I did. I enjoy sometimes watching the villain win. And like he was winning. If you look at his kill list and his takedown list just in this episode, I was just like, dang, he's just knocking people out left and right. And like they didn't even see it coming. Even when they saw it coming, it was too late. Done, over with. So I definitely enjoyed watching him bob and weave his way like to the top just to bring everything down. I thoroughly enjoyed it. How about you? How did you feel about the episode?
I enjoyed the episode. You know, I like a good villain. You know, I like a competent villain. I like a villain that plans things out, is in it for the long haul, like really takes their time trying to bring down our heroes, which is a little masochistic, but like whatever. And Killmonger completely delivered. Like his plan was so intricate, but at the same time, there were parts where he was clearly freestyling on his plan, and just like making it work, that I just found super compelling. So I really enjoyed this episode because we got to see a little bit more of Killmonger's abilities. We learned a little bit more too, like a doctoral thesis from MIT. This dude is super freaking smart, right? Dr.
Right.
Killmonger, like, come on.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed the episode. I did.
Yeah, I thought he was definitely like an efficient villain. Like he had a plan. He made it happen. It was interesting to really watch. Like you said, I don't think we've seen like how he really networks and works around things too much, like from the Black Panther movie. But this really gave us like a peek into his mind even more. And like, who doesn't like a villain that makes you go, you got a point. I see where you coming. You know what? You're not all the way wrong. Like I get what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? And Killmonger is definitely one of those villains who's like, that boy talking. He's
like, I don't agree with what you're saying. I'm disagreeing with how you're saying it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? So yeah. So I definitely enjoyed the episode. I would put Killmonger, you and I have spoken about this offline. I don't know if I've said it on air, so to speak, yet, but like one of my favorite villains in the MCU is Zemo, because I thought he was just very meticulous. You laugh every time I say it. I really enjoy I enjoy Zemo. Like he is an effective villain to me because he's almost an anti-hero at the same time, especially when we see him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. He like walks this line between villain and anti-hero. And I think Killmonger, if it wasn't for him being so effective at just straight up killing people, I think he would walk that line as well. It's kind of like Loki, but Loki is fully on the other side. He's like no longer a villain. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode because of Killmonger's abilities that we're able to see in the episode.
Gotcha. How'd you like the fight scenes, the action?
I liked.
Or did it not stand out to you?
What, you know, I'm gonna pivot and I liked the action in the episode, but not any more or less than I liked the action in these episodes. I don't think it was like more compelling, for example, than watching them doing it live action in the Black Panther movie. The one thing I did notice though is that when Tony did his like projection of vibranium, or of like the scene where Killmonger is killing Rhodes and Black Panther, like any like Jarvis enabled projections, I prefer the way it looks in the movie than to the animation. Like that stood out to me.
Yeah, it does look cooler in the movies, I do have to say.
Yeah. So that was something that I was like, I don't like that. That didn't translate well animated. But the action, of course, I thought was really cool. It was really cool seeing Killmonger fight, especially with the drones and everything like that. Seeing all the women fighting was super dope. Seeing General when he said General, I was like, girl, you
Ramonda.
better.
General Ramonda. I was like, wait, hold on. T'Challa's mom is the general of the Dora Milaje? I was like, that is interesting. That I didn't see coming, because I don't know if that was ever mentioned in the movie before, that she used to be the general or anything like that. So I was just like, oh, That's interesting. That's
And
interesting.
now I'm wondering if that is a symptom of, so this takes place years before the what happens in Black Panther. So maybe sometime in between that, between 2008 and 2018, those 10 years, she like retires from being general. Or
Possibly.
maybe like it's a function of like her husband no longer being alive in Black Panther, where she like is no longer the general. I don't know. I'm super curious to find out though, like how that works, because I love her being the general and like fighting for her son and like all that. That was fantastic. I loved it. I loved hearing Angela Bassett like do that. It was great.
I actually thought her voice work was really, really good on the episode. Like, I mean, everybody's been pretty good, but it was something about when she came through on there and she was just like, "Who are you?" And I was just like, "Ooh, she just got that je ne sais quoi." She got that Bassett in her. She was like, "For T'Challa." I was like,
With the tear, yep.
yes, with the
Yeah,
tear.
with the tear.
I was like, "You got me, you got me." Yeah.
That was great.
All right. So we see a lot of the same recurring themes from Black Panther come up in here, of course, with Killmonger and his mission. So it's a lot of like, you know, if one group has got the resources, should you be helping the other groups of the diaspora? And you know, should you join the institution to help change it, or are we breaking down and burning down the institution to the ground, which are obviously like still relevant themes to today, you know, and things that we see today in our daily lives. So and we really see that too when because Rhodes, right, Rhodes is the one, especially in the MCU, who is still really working with the US government and is like reporting to them and is still very intertwined in that, while everybody else is kind of working outside of government and stuff. So when him and Killmonger kind of come head to head, and he's like, "Man, you know, sometimes you gotta join it to help change it." And he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna burn it down to the ground." I was like, that's the Killmonger we know enough.
Yeah, I'll just like add to that a little bit. It definitely, so giving Rhodes that line felt very appropriate, first of all, for all the reasons you just said, that Rhodes has always tried his best to operate within the lines. Like he's only ever really shown up when government has allowed him to. Like even in Ultron, when he shows up to like help save, it's like he came with Shield or the remnants of Shield with Fury and stuff like that. He didn't just show up on his own.
Right.
This makes me think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I don't want to go on a tangent about another IP, but Rhodes was in the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then we didn't see him again in the rest of the series. And now that I'm thinking about it, this episode makes me think about Rhodes' perception, or like how he deals with his racial identity and working for the government. Like we've never seen him have to deal with that in any of the other entities that we've seen so far, not even in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which would have been the perfect place for that to happen. So it's just giving me like, it's making me wonder a little bit more about like, how is Rhodes going to react to Falcon becoming Captain America, or like the speech he gave in front of the UN in the final episode of that series, or like any of that. I know at the beginning of the series, he was pushing for Falcon to take the shield and take the mantle, but Falcon didn't. I don't remember Falcon bringing up his racial identity and trying to like level with Rhodes. And if he did, Rhodes didn't actually like have the conversation with him. And now I'm just like, what is that going to look like moving forward in the MCU? Like we have this clear, they spend a whole, I'm talking a lot, I know, but we spent a whole six hours talking about racial politics and what that looks like within the MCU and with superheroes. Rhodes wasn't a part of that conversation. What the hell? Like that just stood out to me, like as I'm talking right now about the Black Panther episode. So I don't know.
Actually, that's a really, really good point. And who knows, maybe the writers kind of took note of that, and that's why they kind of gave him these lines here,
Maybe.
to even bring that up, because, you know, yeah, he has been the one. And like Killmonger's like, why are you wearing the uniform of your oppressor? You know what I mean?
Which is the same rhetoric as the black guy who took the super soldier serum, but like got locked up for it. I forget his name, his
Yeah, the
character's
Black
name.
Captain America. We're
The
gonna call him
Black
the Black
Captain
Captain
America,
America.
right? That's the same thing. That's the same approach he came at Falcon with. Remember, like,
Yeah.
why would you put on the colors of your oppressor? Like, what is that?
Why would you take up that shield? Yeah, exactly. Um, and then the other thing I thought too was like, I felt like now that we've got Tony out of the MCU, and to be honest, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is really coming back. If he does, it's going to be some real brief, but I don't think he's really coming back to the MCU. I felt like this was, I mean, they've killed him off in pretty much all the episodes anyways, but it felt like this was like a little goodbye to him as well, because like even at the end, the Watcher is like, oh, you know, the legacy lives on even if the hero dies, kind of a thing. And I mean, it could have also been reference to Black Panther as well. So it could have been a reference to T'Challa dying, but I also felt like it was like alluding to Tony, because it was like through Jarvis and stuff like that, that Pepper and Shuri really get that information that, hey, something's not right here. So what are we gonna do, you know, to bring Killmonger down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would further add to your point by, I don't know if you caught that when General Ross was talking about like tactical stuff and like bringing the troops or the drones over to Wakanda, they walked past the poster of Tony like in an inspirational pose, like getting people to like inspire people to like get behind the war effort. Not in a super direct way as like, we choose you from like the 40s and the 50s or whatever, but it gave a callback to Captain America. And remember that tension that Tony has with Steve Rogers, because his dad was like talked about Steve Rogers all the time. I thought that was a really interesting like nod to like Tony dying a martyr and almost serving the same function that Captain served at one point in Steve Rogers' life.
That is interesting. I did not catch that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not catch that. That is interesting now that you mentioned that. Because he does not become Iron Man, instead of like, oh, we're gonna shut down the weapons division, it was like, oh, we're gonna build bigger and better.
Right.
So now he's pushing that, and then they're trying to come out with these drones. So it does make sense that them thinking that he died at Wakanda's hands, they're like, oh, we're gonna take this and run with it, and like propaganda, we're gonna make him our poster boy, you know. So that's
yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I have one other comment about inspiration and just like, you know, we talked about Tony and T'Challa like becoming like inspiration. I am kind of just like emotionally drained with seeing T'Challa / Chadwick Boseman, who did the voiceover work for T'Challa in all of these episodes, being tied to death. Like, it's too much. And obviously they had no way to predict that this was going to happen, but like T'Challa now has he had his own episode, the second episode of What If, where we see him have a different life, where he's still like a full-fledged like person, very similar personality, gets reunited with his family. It's a beautiful episode. But in the other 2 episodes we see T'Challa in the What If series, one of them is the zombie episode last week, where they have, first of all, his leg is half bitten off and he's like on the verge of death, which is awful. Feeding him to freaking Wanda. Like he's like it's a Jordan Peele like production or something like that, right? And they make him deliver the line of like, you know, in my culture, death is not the end, it's a stepping off point, that whole thing. And then in this episode, they kill him off again. And I'm just like, can we stop with like connecting T'Challa to death, please? Like, cut the episode, redo it or something. Like, don't. Can you pivot in the light of him passing away? Can we like stop bringing like seeing T'Challa in the ancestral plane for me? Like, I was just like, I'm not ready to see this. Like after him passing, I'm just not ready. So that I was just like, I wasn't ready. That's all.
I think look, you know, the aftermath and kind of looking back, it does feel a lot. But to be fair, quite a few characters do die through all the episodes.
Yeah, except all the people that play those characters are still alive.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like it hits different. It hits different.
So different. And you know, I think I've mentioned this. You may not have seen it. Maybe you've seen it. Over my bed is a canvas of T'Challa of Chadwick Boseman in the ancestral plane from Black Panther.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, it was a scene that resonated with me so much that I wanted it over my bed. So every single time I see him and they connect it to death, I'm like, can you cut it out, please? I'm like, it's a fresh wound all over again. Anyways,
it is. But I did like the scene with Killmonger and T'Challa in that sense. I was not expecting that. I thought it was still going to be him and his father, and then we were gonna maybe kind of rehash some of the stuff with his father, and his father maybe giving him some advice and stuff like that. So it was very interesting that they rather take the twist and have it be that he met T'Challa in the ancestral plane, and T'Challa being like, listen, you stole this power, you didn't earn this, and that's volatile, and it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. Like, this is not gonna work out well for you. And I guess I don't know which one I would have preferred. If him seeing his father versus him seeing T'Challa and having that warning. But I think I would have rather him see his dad. I think because I feel like the dad's speech would have had to have been different, because when he comes to Wakanda, this time he's being embraced. You know what I'm saying? And this time they're taking him in. I mean, obviously not knowing what he's done in the background, but could he, he could have taken that and been like, I've got family now. And could have, I mean, it's not in his personality, but I'm just saying, like,
they're the enemy to him.
I don't think they're the enemy to him. I think they are
they're a
means to an end. I think they're a means to an end for him.
Okay.
Which is like, let me get up in here and use their forces and do all of that.
So let me ask you something. Do you remember what his dad said to him in the movie at all? I don't recall exactly what was said or like this sentiment. I remember him asking if he remembers him or something like that, or maybe I'm making that up.
I believe he said something along the lines of like he could see that he was lost in his ways. And it was like kind of circled around that, like him being lost in his ways and trying to find himself.
But he didn't really try to stop him from what he was doing, though. Like, T'Challa was like, you need to stop. His father was just like, oh, you're lost. You'll figure it out. Which is like, you're not going to stop. Like, you're not going to stop him from trying to kill everybody. Like, what is happening? And it's like, no, because his father felt the same way, right?
Yeah, his father did feel the same way. His father wanted to help everybody else. And they say that in this episode too, that when T'Chaka is like, your dad felt the same way.
Bass brought you here in order to like remind me of that or something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then even when he takes the herb, he doesn't go to the ancestral plane when he sees his dad. He goes to Compton.
Right.
Or Oakland?
Oakland.
My bad.
Compton? Oakland.
It was Oakland. Yeah.
We're from the East Coast. We all know. He went over there.
West Coast. My bad to the West Coast crew.
I think it was Oakland.
But I think it was Oakland. But he goes to the like projects in Oakland, but this time he actually makes it to the ancestral plane. So I don't know if that's different. I don't know why. But I mean, that's the only place he would meet.
I kind of want to look it up because I don't want to mess that up. It's where the Black Panther organization like first started, I believe, which is like one of the connections that people kept making when the movie came out. Anyways, I'll look it up later. Yeah. So yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up. Here's my nitpick for the episode. You ready? I have one for everything that we do. What do we think the choice was that kicked off this universe? I have a theory, but for every single one of these episodes, I'm looking for, okay, what was the choice that spun this universe off into a different direction from the universe that we're used to? And for this episode, it's not very clear what the choice was. I have a guess, but I don't know if I'm right.
I don't know if this one was so much focused on him pivoting on a choice, because if it was, it's something that just didn't happen in the episode.
No, I know that's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Yeah, I think it was just more them focusing on dropping us in the middle of a story, but I don't think they were focusing. But what do you think the choice was?
I think the choice is pretty like, okay, here's where I'm grappling with. How do we know that and during our sacred timeline, the timeline that we're used to outside of the What If series and Loki, what if Killmonger was really undercover with the 10 rings while all that was going down with Tony? Like, that is where I'm just like, was the choice for him to choose the mission that took him to the 10 rings and like that, and then when he got there and realized the plan to attack Tony was in place, put his plan in place 10 years earlier than he normally would have, right? That was always his mission. He just executed it 10 years later in the timeline that we're used to. Was that the choice? Was the choice for him to even take on, wait, did I just say that? To take on that mission? Yeah. Was the choice to take on the mission, or was the choice like, like in our regular timeline, was he already on that mission with the 10 rings and just either never found out about the attempt on Tony's life, or found out and chose not to do anything about it? Like, to me, that's really interesting what that nuance could be. I know we'll never know, but I just like thinking about it. I like thinking.
That's just where your mind went.
Yeah, I was just like, what's the choice here? Like, did he choose to not go after Tony back in 2008? Or did he just was not on that mission in 2008? Because he was definitely an active like member of the services.
So yeah, because we know that he was like he was out here killing for the government anyway. Mm-hmm. So we know that that's a thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. We don't know if he was like undercover with the 10 rings to begin with, unless there's just something that we missed from the movies, but I doubt it. But yeah, so we don't know. And I don't think we'll ever really know. I think they just wanted to throw us into like, hey, he saved Tony.
I mean, you never know. You never know what happens in Black Panther 2. They might mention it somewhere.
I don't think so. I think we're done with Killmonger. I don't think he's coming back at all in these movies.
I think because we didn't see him die on screen, he might come back.
Nah.
I'm not saying I want him to. I'm just saying he might.
That man did.
Wakanda got some technology. Shuri could have saved him. I don't think Shuri would have wanted to, but if T'Challa asked her to, she would have.
Absolutely. He is not one of the... Listen, they done saved 2 white boys before they try to save Killmonger. They're not trying to save him.
Another white man? Yep. She was like, another one? He was like, can you relax? She's like, why are we doing this again?
Why are we doing this? Why? But yeah, so he's gone. I've heard people say they want to see him come back and stuff like that too. But I'm just like, for what? Like, honestly, I just feel like he served his purpose and he's done. And even if they wanted to bring him back, he's done too much bad in Wakanda for them to like even be like, oh, we forgive you. Sure. Like, let's work this out. Like, that's not happening at all.
Okay. You ready? You ready? All right. So
I'm ready.
Implications of the MCU, right? This just came to me. What if one of the implications, and now I'm like going off the deep end. Like now I'm just like all over the place, right?
Tinfoil hat on.
We see in this episode how Queen, I forget her name.
Ramonda.
Ramonda?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna mess that up.
I might be pronouncing that wrong,
because I'm gonna mess it up because I'm gonna think of Coming to America and him being the king of Ramunda. So like now it's completely messed up.
Right?
Zamunda. See, look, I messed it up. Okay, so we see in the episode the Queen is skeptical, of course, of like Killmonger, like, but like you got a point about my son. I'm gonna avenge my son. On the battlefield, we see her watch Killmonger be a badass on the battlefield, right? She saves one of the warriors, he saves one of the warriors and like, all that stuff. And at the end of it, she saves him. And they kind of like a mutual, respect. Like, I don't think King T'Chaka would have given him the Black Panther power without his queen's like approval, right? So she came over to Killmonger's side. What if that's the preface for that happening in the next Black Panther movie? Where he comes in and he like, I don't know, like tries to avenge T'Challa or something like that. And I don't know, he does something to like win people over to his side. Here's the thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I don't even know what his agenda could be. Like, would he like be resurrected in a way and still have the same agenda? I don't know. I feel like that agenda is done with, but who knows?
That's what I'm saying. He's dead. He's gone. It's over. I'm hoping they made Shuri the next Black Panther and pass that on to her, because I feel like she's the most fitting, the most deserving of it. Um, and I would love to see her take up the mantle
Some
and
people
carry
don't
it
want her.
on. I want her. I
Too
think it's
bad.
gonna happen. It's happened in the comics.
Yeah. I think that was
Not that we read the comics, y'all, but we hear stuff in the multiverse.
we be hearing
But
stuff.
it's happened in
We
the
heard it through the
comics,
grapevine. We heard it through
the
the grapevine.
multiverse. But so I think that is going to be their best bet, especially if the movie's called Wakanda Forever. Like, you got to keep it in the bloodline. So who's next up? It's gonna be
He's
her.
technically in the bloodline.
But
Okay,
he's
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done. I'm done. Any other potential implications for the MCU? Like, what did we learn in this episode that could be prepping us for something else?
I just think they're running with the thing of, like, even though a lot of our main heroes are dead and gone or not coming back, that doesn't mean that their legacy isn't going to continue. And we've seen that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you know what I mean, and whoever the young Avengers or the next batch of heroes that's going to be coming up, you know. We've seen it with Spider-Man taking up for Tony, in a sense. So I think that's what they're pushing in this episode.
So do you think they're prepping us for killing off another person that has been pretty prominent in the series so far, in the story so far?
You never know what could happen. But I mean, yeah, because I think Thor is winding down, right? I think they're saying Love
Yeah,
and
because
Thunder, Jane is supposed to take up the hammer. So somehow, some way, we're losing Thor. I don't know if that just means that Thor's just gonna be like, peace out, I'm gonna retire in New Asgard. And you know what I'm saying? And go
probably
chill.
just hang out with the Guardians mostly.
I mean, him and Rocket are new best friends, so who knows? But I mean, it's possible. But yeah, so I think we're gonna be losing Thor soon. I mean, how much longer are we gonna be holding on to Tom Holland Spider-Man? I don't know.
That's a rocky road there.
It's a rocky road. I don't know who else, but they're definitely prepping us for the new, younger, upcoming people with even with the Hawkeye trailer dropping, you know. So we've got everybody who's
not his daughter, apparently.
Yeah. I thought they were gonna make the daughter like the new Hawkeye, but I guess they went a different way. But I don't know, maybe people who are more familiar with the comics or familiar with who that character is. But so yeah, the new fresh faces are coming, the new Avengers are coming. Shang-Chi is now part of the Avengers along with Katie. Is now part of the Avengers.
I mean, as much as like, no, more than Ned, actually.
More than that, because she got called up.
More than Ned, but not as much as Rhodes.
Who's bad?
Rhodes was kind of a sidekick
in the beginning. Damn, War Machine. But anyways, yeah.
That's a conversation for another day. All the like, how all the sidekicks of the main heroes tend to be of a certain skin color.
Oh, you know.
Rhodes, Falcon for a while, some other people. Anyways, so yeah, I think you're right. I think they're prepping us. I think with every episode, they're prepping us to just like be okay with like wild things happening to the characters that we love. We've obviously already seen Tony die. We hadn't seen T'Challa die on screen. So they were like prepping us again to like see some of the bigger names like pass away and know that like you said, and the Watcher said, that time goes on. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention about the Watcher, the scene where Killmonger is actually watching the sunrise. Do you remember seeing the Watcher, like watching him do that?
Yeah.
The look of pain on his face, the Watcher, like he looks troubled. And I thought that was a very interesting. We had mentioned the Watcher before and like how he's like, he has feelings, you know, he can't do anything, but he clearly feels and has opinions about what's happening. And I think you made the point that we might see the Watcher actually interfere at some point. Like he said he wanted to with the Doctor Strange episode. And as these episodes keep progressing and we keep seeing glimpses of the Watcher, who I'm assuming is a man, so I'll say he got opinions. And I know he got the power to fuck shit up. So we're gonna see what happens. So I just thought it was really interesting to see the pain on his face. Like he just looked so like, damn, you know, like, yeah.
I definitely think the Watcher is gonna get involved at some point. I think what it is was with Doctor Strange, it was like, man, this is your own kind of like pride and ego and arrogance, like messing shit up. So I'm not gonna get involved. You're gonna do what you gotta do. I think there's a line though that he is willing to cross and be like, hey, I'll get involved in this because maybe it's gonna affect more than one universe or something like that.
You know who I'm thinking about, right?
What?
Kang. Who I can't say without saying like Kang.
Kang.
Kang. Yeah, he might step in if Kang gets involved. You never know.
I think there's definitely gonna be a point in time in one of these episodes where he's gonna get involved, and because you know when you spend so much time building up a character that's like, I can't do the thing, I can't do the thing, I can't do the thing, eventually they do the thing. So I think definitely he's gonna step in at some point. But
like, I don't want it. I don't want it.
I don't want to be king.
I don't want to be so Jon Snow. I don't want to be king.
Here you go, Bran. You're king.
Now Bran's king.
What do you think I've been waiting for? I'm not gonna get into that. But anyways, yes. So
I'm so ready to get into that. Like I just
no, let's not.
Let's not.
Any other last thoughts about the episode?
It's always great spending time with T'Challa, even though they rip the wound clean every time. I'm trying really hard to ignore the voice actor that's for Tony Stark in all of these episodes that he shows up in, because that's not Robert Downey Jr. And it's very obvious to me that it's not Robert Downey Jr. And I'm trying very hard to ignore it, but it's so hard. The voice actor is not bad. It's just not Robert Downey Jr. So that I spend some mental energy like, oh yeah, like get back to like watching the episode. It was nice seeing Pepper be a little bit more her P's and Q's than she was in the first Iron Man movie. We didn't talk about this, but it's something that I just remembered that like in Iron Man 1, she felt like she was good at her job, but also kind of like a little all over the place when it came like crunch time to like really be on. And in this episode, she was like, I don't like that. Like, look them up, that kind of thing was pretty cool. Rose being okay doing a black market deal felt very odd to me.
Would Rhodey have done a black market? That's a good point.
My assumption is that they framed it as like they need the material in order to build drones for the army, which is why it was probably sanctioned. But it still feels like icky enough for Rhodes to at least give some pushback. They obviously probably didn't have time to show it, but the Rhodes I know would be like, I'm not doing that for you, Tony. And then Tony would have to be like, no, it's not for us. It's not for me. It's for the government. It's for...
It sounds wrong. Yeah. I think because the government was backing it up, that's what made him feel a little better about it. Because he was like, sometimes you gotta get a little dirty to do what's right for like justice or something like that or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's because the government backed it up is why he was into it. If it had just been like Tony and Stark Industries, I don't think he would have done it.
Well, but, I mean, it was. I think Tony framed it as like a research project, a weapons like project for the government, which is why like I'm not even sure the government knew it was happening.
I think they backed it up already. No?
To me, it just seemed like it was Tony and Killmonger just playing around in his lab trying to build a drone that obviously could have implications and like benefits for the US military. So I guess under that, like Tony's like, if we get this right, this is a whole new weapon for the US military. So like just, so I think that could have been enough for Rhodes to eventually go. But I would have liked to see the back and forth. I would have liked to see more of Rhodes' personality in that way, like his like keeping Tony in check, so to speak. Yeah, those are like the main characters. We talked about the Wakandan characters already. You know what? I'll say this. It was nice spending more time with T'Chaka.
Yeah, I guess.
I was like, he feels like an uncle that I like meet at a family, like a family reunion that I've never met before. I'm like, I want to hug that guy. He seems like just
Very warm.
very warm and cuddly and just like, I want his approval, so to speak. So that was cool. But all in all, I really liked the episode.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the next one. I don't know how many episodes are in the season. I tend to get a little worried around this time. I think they said either this episode or the last episode was the halfway mark. I don't remember, but
I
we're
think there's
starting
about 4 more episodes left.
4 more. Okay,
if I'm not mistaken. I believe.
And I don't know what any of those titles are. I think we still have yet to see. We saw Zombies. We saw Peggy Carter. We saw the Killmonger one. I'm trying to think of from the previews. Is there anything we haven't seen yet? I don't know. Maybe they've been keeping the last 4 under wraps. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But all in all, I thought it was a good episode. I liked spending more time with young Shuri.
10 years younger, yeah.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. The voice acting thing, that's actually a funny point. I think for me, because I'm used to watching different like animated superhero shows and they'll switch out voices all the time, it never really bothers me as long as it's like somewhat along the lines of what you're used to. Like even in the Zombies episode, right? That wasn't Tom Holland, but I was like, it's close enough and it works for me. Like it's plucky and quirky enough of a voice that like I don't care. So for me, it doesn't really bother me that much. It doesn't take me out of it, even though I know like, oh, there are live action actors who actually play these people. It's like if it's close enough, I mess with it. I'm cool with it. But yeah, young Shuri, seeing Queen Ramonda in action, general actually in action, that was cool. That was fun. And just the most fun was watching Killmonger execute this plan. Like every time you was sitting there, like, ooh, he about to get caught, he about to get busted. He always had like, he always had something up his sleeve. So, even the last minute turning the drones back on just to make himself look like a hero and all that, it was just like it was
as a ploy so he can get the Black Panther. Like that was his goal, right? Like that's why he didn't kill T'Chaka when I thought he was going to kill him, because his eye wasn't on killing T'Chaka at that moment. It was getting to the Black Panther.
He's in it for the long con, and I love it. And I the end of the episode just had me wanting more. I was like, where's the movie? I was like, hold on, because y'all missing about an hour and a half extra of footage.
They're missing the final act of the movie. That felt like a perfect like springing off point for the final third act of the movie.
Yes, and I wanted so much more when it was done, and I was like, y'all did y'all job this episode, because y'all really had me wondering, like, is he gonna get away with it? Like, what's happening? What's gonna happen now? Because is he gonna get everybody on his side, and they're gonna it leaves so many possibilities open that I was like, damn, I wish they would come back to this story. And it would be great if they did. If they have a second season and want to return to it, that'd be great, because they are going to be returning back to Captain Carter in upcoming seasons when they do it. So it's like one of those stories they're going to keep revisiting.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I'm like, this needs to be the story y'all revisit, but you never know. We'll see.
All
right. Yeah. I think we can end it here. I think we've got gotten out all the thoughts, all the things. So I think it's about time to wrap it up. Thank you guys once again for joining us. Make sure you follow our socials at Casual Fangirls _ on Instagram. I do believe we have videos up on YouTube now, so go
check out the YouTube.
Yes, subscribe. We appreciate you guys joining us time and time and again. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and make sure you look out for our next one coming out soon. So to end us off, I am Nessa.
And I'm Tee.
And together we are the Casual Fangirls. Have a good night.